Picture like a massive construction crane just tearing down a beloved local waterfront.
Oh, yeah. The classic sound of doom for a neighborhood.
Right, the heavy machinery rolls in, and usually that sound is the absolute death knell for a neighborhood's unique personality.
Absolutely. You say goodbye to the quirky dive bars.
Yeah, the rusted local charm, all that generational history, it just gets scraped away, to make room for these sterile glass and steel luxury boxes.
The ones that look identical whether you're standing in Miami, Seattle, or Boston.
Exactly. And the locals are just inevitably left holding the bag.
Yeah, I mean, they get a shiny new cord coffee shop, but the actual heartbeat of the neighborhood is completely paved over.
It's the classic, highly predictable playbook for urban redevelopment, and it almost always ends in a total loss of character.
It really does.
But if you look at what is happening right now in Oxnard, California,
Specifically Channel Islands Harbor. Yeah.
right, Channel Islands Harbor, that same heavy machinery is operating right next to, I kid you not, baby sea lions and a bustling local farmers market.
It's wild to see.
It really is. We have this massive stack of on-the-ground updates detailing a multi-million-dollar modernization project unfolding there. And for anyone listening, this deep dive is going to serve as an absolute masterclass in how a destination can execute a staggering infrastructure overhaul while fiercely preserving its local soul.
And its delicate ecosystem, which
Yeah.
is no small feat.
Totally. Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the literal blueprints and the physical transformation of the space. So the most visible target right now is the total replacement of the aging fisherman's village.
Yeah, that site is being completely transformed into this sprawling new complex that will be called Carl's Village.
Carl's Village, right?
Exactly. And construction officially kicks off in mid-August of 2026.
Like anchored by a public groundbreaking ceremony on August 15th, right?
Yep, August 15th. And the sheer scale of this redevelopment is staggering, but the psychology behind their construction strategy is what truly stands out to me.
Oh, totally. Because before a single foundation is poured or, a wall is framed, they've erected this custom all-wood perimeter fence.
Painted a very specific, deliberate shade of green.
Right, which is so interesting because most construction sites just, throw up that cheap chain link fencing.
Oh, yeah, with the ripped green mesh that just flaps in the wind.
Exactly. It practically screams, keep out, this area is a dead zone for the next 2 years. But this custom wood fence acts as a massive psychological cue to the residents.
It signals a long-term investment in aesthetics from literally day one.
Yeah, and that specific green color is a deliberate nod to Ventura County's rich agricultural history. They are using it to seamlessly blend the farming legacy with the harbor's inherent maritime heritage.
Which is crucial, that visual continuity, especially when you're introducing a massive eat, play, shop model into an older, established space like this.
Because Carl's Village is bringing in, waterfront restaurants, indoor markets, playgrounds, public promenades.
Right, but they are actively retaining the institutional memory of the harbor, too.
Oh, like with Spudnuts.
Exactly. Longtime local favorites, like the beloved Spudnuts, are slated to return and reopen in these newly constructed facilities.
That's so smart. They're bridging the nostalgia of the past with the commercial viability of the future, rather than just evicting the history.
Yeah, they aren't just wiping the slate clean.
No, just down the shoreline from Carl's Village, heavy crews are simultaneously working on a brand new Hyatt House hotel.
And this is not some quaint little boutique inn.
No, not at all. We are talking about a 210-room, 4-story, all-suite property. It's got a rooftop bar overlooking the water, a resort-style pool deck, highly flexible meeting spaces.
But the real masterstroke of this design is the inclusion of a publicly accessible plaza.
Yes, it isn't a walled-off luxury resort just hoarding the waterfront view for paying guests.
Right, it's designed to act as a funnel. It actively pulls pedestrian foot traffic directly to the water's edge.
But all of this vertical construction, like the flashy new buildings and the rooftop bars...
It relies entirely on invisible foundational work.
Right. We have to look at the unglamorous infrastructure to actually understand the waterfront economics at play here.
For sure. Like the old Harbor Administration building has already been reduced to rubble.
Just totally gone.
Yep. The structural steel for the new foundation is already in the ground, crane on site, with the new facility aiming for a 2028 opening.
Which fundamentally modernizes the area's logistical operations. It's exactly like replacing the motherboard of a computer.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. The Hyatt and Carl's Village are the flashy new apps running on the screen, but none of it actually processes the daily traffic if you don't upgrade the hidden wiring.
And in this harbor, The wiring is the aging docks and the parking lots.
Exactly. They are aggressively installing state-of-the-art floating dock systems at the southern end of Peninsula Road.
Mirroring the massive upgrades just completed at Bahia Marina and Safe Harbor Anacapa Marina.
Yeah, and they're completely repaving the parking lots along Harbor Boulevard. Plus, for anyone who has ever tried to park near the water in Southern California, you will deeply appreciate this detail.
Oh, the parking remains completely free.
Free, which is just unheard of.
It is, but free parking fundamentally alters the carrying capacity and the accessibility of the harbor.
How so?
Well, historically, coastal towns operate on a razor-thin economic multiplier. They rely almost entirely on a frantic, 3-month summer tourist season to generate enough capital to survive the long, quiet winter.
Right, the classic feast or famine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But by establishing a 210-room hotel that draws corporate retreats and off-season travelers, and pairing it with zero-barrier entry, like free, newly paved parking.
You engineer a year-round economic engine.
Precisely. You create a baseline of daily human activity that sustains a local coffee shop or tackle store in the dead of November just as well as it does on the 4th of July.
But wait, let me push back on this a bit. You're talking about bringing in massive cranes, demoing administrative buildings, erecting a 4-story Hyatt, and totally replacing Fisherman's Village all at the exact same time.
Right, it's a lot of activity.
Doesn't pouring that much concrete and engineering that kind of heavy daily foot traffic instantly suffocate the rustic charm the locals actually go there for? I mean, you risk turning a working maritime harbor into a sterile concrete theme park.
That is the most common failure point in modern urban planning, no question. And it is precisely the risk they are navigating right now.
So how do they avoid it?
The solution Oxnard is executing involves running heavy ecological conservation efforts concurrently with the heavy machinery.
Okay.
Channel Islands Harbor is treated as a living, breathing ecosystem, not just a holding tank for boat slips. The biological integration is happening right in the middle of the construction zones.
Yeah, the fish nurseries are what completely blew my mind in these sources.
Oh, the sea bass.
Yes. Floating inside this busy, noisy harbor surrounded by boat traffic, there are protected net pens currently holding approximately 13,000 juvenile white sea bass.
Yeah, the White Sea Bass Grow-Out Program. It is actually one of California's most successful fisheries enhancement initiatives.
That's incredible.
And instead of hiding this biological work away in some remote, pristine marine reserve, local volunteers are raising these juvenile fish right amid the commercial activity.
And the net pens acclimate the fish to the local water chemistry, right?
Right.
While protecting them from larger predators.
Exactly. The volunteers nurture them until they reach about 9 to 10 inches in length, which is large enough to survive on their own.
And then they just release them.
Yep, directly into the coastal waters to actively rebuild the wild population.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. It's not just the biological mechanics of raising the fish, it's the psychological engineering of the people they are bringing into this ecosystem.
Oh, for sure. You're talking about real guppy outdoors.
Yes. There is this nonprofit called Real Guppy Outdoors, located directly in the future Carl's Village redevelopment area.
And they host free youth fishing days over at Hunami Pier.
Right, and for anyone listening trying to sound like a local when you visit, that's pronounced Wainimi.
Good catch, yeah.
Uh,
Wainimi.
So Real Guppy Outdoors, they operate on this foundational premise that humans only protect what they intimately understand.
Which is so true. They host programs like Uncle Dave's rod building workshops.
It's like a coastal Hogwarts for aspiring anglers.
Huh. That's exactly what it is. It acts as a brilliant educational Trojan horse.
Right. Kids come in wanting to learn the mechanical skill of casting a line or building a rod.
And they end up receiving a masterclass in marine conservation, fishing ethics, and deep ocean stewardship.
The program is systematically building a generation of locals who view the health of the harbor as their personal responsibility.
And all of this grassroots education happens against the backdrop of highly visible, thriving wildlife.
Like the sea lions. The source material notes a massive influx of newborn sea lion pups right at the end of Harbor Boulevard.
Yeah, residents are literally walking down the street past heavy construction and locking eyes with baby sea lions.
The sources describe them as being small enough to fit in a bread box.
A bread box, yeah. What's fascinating here is how modern ecological theory flips our traditional assumptions entirely upside down.
How do you mean?
Well, historically, we thought conservation required absolute isolation. in putting tall fences around nature to keep the destructive humans away.
Yeah. Do not touch.
Exactly. But by running programs like the white sea bass net pens inside a bustling harbor and placing real guppy outdoors in the geographic center of a commercial redevelopment.
Conservation becomes a highly visible public partnership.
Yes, visibility is the armor. When a tourist stepping out of the new Hyatt or a local kid with a newly built fishing rod sees that breadbox-sized sea lion, they become personally invested in the water quality.
So the human economic activity actually generates the localized funding and the fierce political will to defend the ecosystem rather than threatening it.
Exactly.
The sheer volume of people becomes a defense mechanism. But, I mean, making people care about those sea lions requires them to actually spend significant time at the water. You can't just build a 210-room hotel, pave a parking lot, and hope people magically decide to hang out and embrace conservation. You have to actively engineer the culture to keep them coming back.
Cultivating that culture requires activating the physical space with hyper-targeted programming.
Mm-hmm.
The hardware, the docks and the buildings is useless without the software of human interaction.
So true.
The harbor management is orchestrating events across a remarkably wide spectrum of interests to ensure the waterfront never feels abandoned or monotonous.
Like, they're leaning all the way in for the USA's 250th birthday.
Oh, with the massive July 4th extravaganza.
Yeah. It kicks off at 10:30 in the morning at Albacore Way with a highly interactive family parade.
We're talking kids decorating their wagons.
Tricking out their bikes, even dressing up their pets to march down the street. It sounds so fun.
It does. And it culminates at 9 p.m. with a massive professional fireworks show launched directly from the waters off the naval base.
And the geographical layout of harbor means those fireworks are visible from almost anywhere shoreside.
Though, the sources specifically point to Marine Emporium Landing or the commercial fishing dock for the optimal viewing angles.
Good tip. But a once-a-year spectacle like July 4th doesn't sustain a year-round culture. You need a reliable rhythm to build habits.
And that is where the summer concert series comes in.
Running every single Saturday at Harborview Park.
Right. Co-sponsored by the Channel Islands Harbor Foundation and Suntex Marinas, which really highlights that critical public-private partnership funding the culture.
And the musical lineup is intentionally whiplash-inducing.
It really is.
One week, you have a Tom Petty tribute band packing the park with classic rock fans, and the very next week, a group called Nautical Thrust.
Great name.
Amazing name. They're playing smooth yacht rock to a totally different crowd.
But that whiplash is a feature, not a bug. If we connect this to the bigger picture and look closely at how they program their premium maritime experiences, the contrast becomes even sharper and more deliberate.
Like the Starlight.
Exactly. Take the Starlight. This is a large, multi-level boat hosting Viva Las Vegas Friday night cruises throughout the summer.
Okay, so for $100, you board this vessel and step into a high-energy nightlife environment.
You have a massive taco and nacho bar, complimentary champagne flowing, a 100-inch music video screen,
Revolving club lights, and a full mock casino where guests play craps and blackjack for prizes.
Now, contrast that glitzy Friday night Vegas energy with what happens literally on the exact same waterfront on Sunday morning.
The traditional farmer's market.
Yes. It takes over Marine Emporium Landing from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
And this isn't your standard, sanitized suburban market selling overpriced artisan soap and candles.
Not at all. It is deeply rooted in local agriculture and the gritty, authentic working waterfront.
Visitors can walk right up to the commercial fishing docks and buy fresh sea urchin and live box crab directly from the exhausted fishermen who pulled it out of the Pacific just hours earlier.
And we also see this deep nautical tradition maintained by the Maritime Museum, right? Which hosts the Ship Model Guild for intricate model builders who spend hundreds of hours recreating historical vessels.
Yeah, and the museum is currently gearing up for their 7th annual Chowder Fest on September 18th.
Oh, which features the single most quirky detail in this entire stack of sources.
Yes, the first ever Channel Islands Sea Lion Barking Contest, hosted by Captain Dave.
It sounds utterly absurd.
It is. It's like those small towns in England that risk bodily harm rolling a massive wheel of cheese down a steep hill.
Exactly.
It's weird, it's hyper-local, and it provides a unique flavor you simply cannot manufacture in a corporate boardroom.
No, you really can't.
But looking at this entire calendar, You have a glitzy mock Vegas casino cruise pulling in the nightlife crowd, a gritty sea urchin farmers market drawing the culinary locals, and a sea lion barking contest for young families.
Right.
Are these events complementing each other, or is the harbor suffering from a massive identity crisis, fighting for entirely different demographics?
If we connect this to the bigger picture of modern urban development, creating these starkly different experiences is actually a highly calculated survival strategy.
Really?
Yeah. Successful destinations realize the homogeneous demographic is a complete myth.
Okay, that makes sense.
You cannot sustain a massive infrastructure footprint, complete with new hotels and floating docks, by catering only to families, or only to wealthy boat owners, or only to young nightlife seekers.
So, Channel Islands Harbor is actively engineering what sociologists call micro-communities.
Exactly.
But how do these micro-communities manage to share the same space without clashing and driving each other away?
By separating them temporally while sharing the exact same geographic footprint.
Well, timing is everything.
Right. The yacht rock fans, the intricate ship model builders, the families pushing wagons in the July 4th parade, and the nightlife crowd throwing dice on the Starlight, they don't need to interact directly.
Ah, by providing highly specific, deeply authentic niches for each group at different times of the day or week, the harbor ensures the waterfront is economically viable and actively populated 7 days a week.
The infrastructure is utilized constantly, from the early morning coffee runs at Mrs. Olson's Coffee Hut to the evening crowds gathering along the rocks for the Wet Wednesday sailing tradition.
The Wet Wednesday tradition is the absolute perfect visual for this entire ecosystem.
It really is.
Every Wednesday evening, from spring through fall, the local sailors flood the harbor entrance, filling the water with these brightly colored sails right as the sun drops into the Pacific.
It's an unscripted, stunning visual.
And it draws everyone, from the corporate guests at the Hyatt to the local fishermen, right to the water's edge to just stop and watch.
And the sources highly recommend that while you are watching those sails catch the sunset, you need to grab the fish tacos from either Seafresh or from Julio, the new general manager over at Fisherman's Cove.
Oh, absolutely. Food is the ultimate unifier in these multi-use spaces.
It really grounds the disparate experiences, giving the casino crowd and the model builders a shared local touchpoint.
So what does this all mean? If we zoom out and look at the entire scope of this deep dive, Channel Islands Harbor is serving as a master blueprint for layered revitalization.
It really is a model to study.
It proves a destination can completely update its hardware. You can demolish outdated administration buildings, you can dredge channels and install state-of-the-art floating docks, and you can build a massive 210-room luxury hotel.
But you can do all of that heavy lifting without losing the authentic heartbeat of the neighborhood.
Exactly, provided you are deeply and intentionally nurturing the software.
And that software is the invisible community glue holding the physical space together.
Right, it's the youth fishing education teaching ocean stewardship.
The volunteers quietly feeding juvenile sea bass in a net pen.
The commercial fishermen selling box crab on a Sunday morning.
And the event organizers leaning into the sheer absurdity of a sea lion barking contest.
The millions of dollars in infrastructure just provide the stage. The micro-communities provide the actual life.
Beautifully said.
This is exactly why this case study matters to you, the listener. Whether you are an urban planner trying to figure out how to modernize a decaying downtown area,
or a business leader looking to integrate a corporate entity into a fiercely loyal local neighborhood.
or just a curious traveler who hates sterile tourist tracks, Oxnard is providing a vital lesson. A community space can evolve, grow up, and embrace massive commercial investment without paving over its own history.
Which leaves us with a very compelling question to mull over long after you finish listening to this.
Let's hear it.
We are watching a physical space successfully blend a gritty working maritime past, a heavy agricultural theme, high-end luxury suites, grassroots ocean conservation, and vibrant nightlife, all within one single geographic footprint.
Yeah, all in one place.
Now, for decades, traditional city planning relied heavily on single-purpose zoning. The prevailing wisdom was to put the luxury hotels in one pristine district, keep the commercial fishing in a gritty industrial zone, and place the nature reserves miles away from the noise of human commerce.
Right, keep everything in its little box.
Exactly. But if you can build a massive commercial hotel without scaring away the breadbox-sized baby sea lions, could this blended eat, play, shop, conserve model be the key to saving struggling waterfronts globally?
It really makes you wonder. If the traditional zoning playbook has been keeping us artificially isolated from the environments we are actually trying to enjoy,
Right.
maybe the secret to revitalizing our cities isn't just giving them a sleek cosmetic facelift. Maybe it's realizing that the wrinkles, the working fishermen, and the barking sea lions were the most valuable assets all along.